Have you ever wondered why two people can walk into an English exam, give the exact same factual answers, yet one gets a painfully average score, while the other sounds like an absolute native speaker and just, passes with flying colors?
Well, it is the ultimate frustration for language learners everywhere. I mean, you know the words, you know the facts, but the delivery just, well, it falls completely flat.
Right. And that is exactly what we are fixing today. Today, we are going to learn how to instantly transform basic robotic IELTS Part 1 speaking answers into high-scoring, natural-sounding conversation.
Absolutely.
We're going to master one core strategy, combine two specific verb tenses for maximum impact, and uncover countless extra points on your speaking score. But before we get to the total 5 essential pointers for today's lesson, welcome to Everyday English Flow, daily English practice, natural speaking, and effortless listening flow. If you'd like to support our work, please like and subscribe. It helps us to keep creating high-quality content and bring you even better lessons in the future.
Yes, a very warm welcome to all of our listeners out there, especially our B2 level English learners. I know the exact plateau you are on right now.
Oh, yeah. It's a tough spot to be in.
It really is. You know, you already have a fantastic foundation. You know a lot of vocabulary. Your grammar is generally solid, but you feel completely stuck.
Like you're hitting a wall.
Exactly. It feels like there is this invisible ceiling on your speaking ability. But I want to motivate you right out of the gate here. You do not need to learn a whole new dictionary to break through that ceiling.
Wait, right.
You really don't. You just need a few structural tweaks to how you present the words you already possess.
I love that. We aren't tearing down the house. We're just, rearranging the furniture to make it look professionally designed.
That's a great way to put it.
So our mission for this deep dive is laser-focused. We are zeroing in exclusively on IELTS speaking strategies, specifically Part 1 of the exam.
Right, the interview portion.
Yeah, where the examiner asks you about yourself, your life, your daily habits, your hometown. We are going to use very specific examples, compare simple answers to leveled-up answers, and run through daily drills to perfect your delivery. So, what is the first foundational shift we need to make?
Well, the first pointer is all about the unseen foundation of natural speech. What's fascinating here is that fluency isn't actually about the big, impressive words.
It's not.
No, it's about the small words that connect them. It's about emphasis and these not-so-empty fillers.
Okay, let me give you a scenario. So the examiner asks a classic Part 1 question, like, do you live in a house or an apartment?
Classic.
Right. And a standard grammatically correct answer would be something like, I live in an apartment, it is on the 7th floor, and it is in the city center.
Which is perfectly fine. I mean, it answers the question and the grammar is correct, but it's entirely robotic.
Yeah.
It's just a sequence of cold data points.
Yep.
Now, listen to what happens when we level it up just slightly. I actually live on the 7th floor right in the city center.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I actually live on the 7th floor right in the city center.
You hear the difference, right?
I do. It feels like we are talking about adding seasoning to a plain dish. Like the raw facts, the apartment, the 7th floor, the city center, that is your chicken in your rice.
Mm-hmm.
It's nutritious, but it's bland. The words actually, and right, those are the salt and pepper. It just brings the whole thing to life.
That is a brilliant way to conceptualize it. You are seasoning the sentence. Words like actually or right provide emphasis.
Yeah.
Saying the house is right in the city center instead of just in the city center, well, it shows the examiner you have control over the subtle flavors of the language, not just the raw ingredients.
But let me stop you right there, because I have to push back on this a little bit.
Okay.
Aren't we supposed to actively avoid fillers? I feel like every English teacher I ever had told me that words like just or well, are terrible habits. Don't examiners penalize you for hesitation?
See, this raises a crucial distinction that most learners misunderstand. There is a massive difference between nervous, stumbling, hesitation, where you were saying, and because you've forgotten a word.
Right.
And intentional speaking fillers. Intentional fillers, which linguists call hedging words, like, they actually serve a psychological purpose.
Wait, psychological purpose. How does saying, help me psychologically with the examiner?
Because it proves to the examiner that you haven't just memorized a script.
Ah.
Think about how native speakers talk. When a native speaker answers a question about their life, they don't immediately spit out a perfectly formed, rigid sentence.
No, they think about it for a second.
Exactly. They process the question. They say, well, to be honest, or I mean, I suppose. It buys you a fraction of a second of processing time while sounding completely authentic.
So if I say, I just feel more energetic in the mornings rather than I feel more energetic in the mornings, that little word just doesn't mean anything literally, but it softens the delivery.
Precisely. It modulates the tone. It takes an answer from sounding like a textbook recitation to a real-time human conversation. It is a hallmark of native speech.
I'm completely sold on that. So for our listeners, here is your first daily drill. I want you to take 3 basic, boring facts about your day. It could be anything.
Yep.
And I want you to intentionally add a filler or an emphasis word to them. So instead of saying the robotic fact, I want to relax, practice saying out loud, I just want to disconnect.
Oh, that's a great drill.
Try doing that 3 times today with different facts. I just want to, whatever, feel how much more natural that rolls off the tongue.
Excellent drill. And that transitions us perfectly into pointer 2, because once you know how to season the dish with those fillers, you still need to make sure you are serving high-quality ingredients.
Right. Salt and pepper on a bad piece of chicken is still a bad meal.
Mm.
So pointer 2 is about upgrading with topic-specific vocabulary and collocations.
Yes. In IELTS Part 1, the examiner is listening closely to see if you possess the specialized vocabulary for everyday topics. So if the topic is housing, don't just rely on the word apartment. Drop in words like high-rise building or balcony.
Nice.
If they ask about your city, use terms like traffic jam or rush hour. If the topic is your daily routine, use a phrase like early bird or early riser.
Here's where it gets really interesting to me, though. It's not just about memorizing a list of individual nouns, is it?
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned collocations. Why are collocations so much more important than just single words?
Well, if we look at the mechanics of language acquisition, our brains don't actually process language word by word.
We don't.
No, we process it in chunks. Collocations are simply words that naturally live together in English. For example, if we take the word rain, you could say strong rain, and grammatically an examiner knows what you mean.
Right, but it sounds weird.
It sounds completely wrong to a native ear. The collocation is heavy rain.
Ah, I see. So you have to learn the pairs. Like with routines, you shouldn't just learn the noun alarm clock. You need to learn the verb that is married to it. You don't open your alarm clock or start your alarm clock. You set your alarm clock.
Yes, setting my alarm clock. If you use the correct collocation, the examiner instantly knows you have spent time interacting with the language naturally, rather than just reading a translated dictionary.
But let me ask you a practical question about this. Because I know when I am prepping for any kind of test, I tend to overcompensate. Like I want to show off.
Sure.
Is it better to use one perfect topic-specific collocation, or should our listeners try to jam 5 complex vocabulary words into a short 3-sentence answer just to prove they know them all?
Oh, I would strongly advise against the second option. Do not make what I call thesaurus soup.
Thesaurus soup. I love that.
Just 1 or 2 specialized words are entirely enough to show the examiner the width of your vocabulary.
Width, not density.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you overload a single sentence with 5 highly complex specialized words, it becomes incredibly dense. It sounds bizarrely unnatural.
Right. No one talks like that.
Keep it conversational. Dropping 1 high-rise building and 1 rush hour into a relaxed answer is plenty to secure those vocabulary points on the rubric.
That takes so much pressure off. You don't have to be a walking dictionary. You just have to drop a couple of well-placed, highly specific terms.
Exactly.
So we have our core ingredients, our collocations, and we have our seasoning, our fillers. That brings us to pointer 3, embellishing with adjectives, adverbs, and exaggerated comparisons.
This is where we talk about flavor and temperature. Words give the facts, but descriptors give the emotional weight.
Okay.
This is how you take an answer from adequate to excellent. Let's look at describing a hometown. A simple, adequate answer would be, I live in Manchester, which is a big city. There is a lot of traffic.
It's fine, but it's completely flat. There's no personality in that. How do we upgrade it?
We use a technique called modulation. Modulation is your ability to show degrees of feeling or intensity. It proves to the examiner that you aren't just reciting facts, but actually feeling the weight of your words. So instead of just saying a big city, we modulate it. We say a pretty big city.
A pretty big city, yeah.
Instead of saying there is a lot of traffic, we upgrade that to an awful lot of traffic.
An awful lot of traffic. Just adding the word awful paints such a vivid picture. I can almost hear the car horns in the background. And we can use modulation for our internal feelings too, right?
Oh, absolutely. If an examiner asks about your evenings, don't just say, I feel tired. That is a base level emotion. Modulate it with a richer adjective. Say, I feel completely drained.
Completely drained.
Or if you love the mornings, don't just say, I feel good. Say, I feel incredibly energetic and productive.
Incredibly energetic.
Mhm.
Completely drained. It just sounds so much more mature. And there's a specific trick you mentioned earlier about exaggerating comparisons that I want to make sure we cover.
Yes, this is a very simple but highly effective technique for part one. When you are making a comparison or describing a trait, exaggerate it slightly with an adverb.
Okay, like what?
So instead of saying your street is too noisy, say it is far too noisy.
It's far too noisy, or it's way too crowded.
Exactly.
It instantly makes you sound like a local complaining about their city, which is, the most native-sounding thing you can possibly do.
It really is.
Now, we are about halfway through our deep dive, and we have two massive score-boosting pointers left, including the grammar trick that examiners absolutely love.
Oh, they do.
But real quick, if you are finding these pointers helpful, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe.
Yes, and you will definitely want to stay focused for pointer 4 because this is where we tackle the elephant in the room, grammar.
Right. We've talked about vocabulary and flavor, but showing off grammar mastery without sounding like a rigid textbook is the ultimate goal. So let's unpack pointer 4, the time travel tense trick.
It really is the holy grail of the speaking exam. Examiners have a rubric, and they are actively listening for your ability to use a variety of grammatical tenses accurately. Most B2 learners play it entirely safe. They hide in the present simple tense because, well, it's comfortable.
Like, I live here, I work there, I like this.
Exactly. But if you want a high score, you have to show range. And there is one grammatical structure that is incredibly powerful, highly rewarded by examiners, and actually quite easy to use once you practice it.
Tell me.
It is pairing the present simple tense with the present perfect tense back to back.
Okay, I call this the time travel trick.
Yeah.
Give us an example of how this works in practice.
Sure, let's use the routine topic we discussed earlier. The present simple is for a general fact about your life right now. I am an early bird. That is your present simple.
Right.
Immediately after that, you use the present perfect to show how long the state has existed from the past leading up to now. I've always been an early riser.
I love this so much. I am an early bird. I've always been an early riser.
Yeah.
It's literally like taking a photograph, a snapshot of right now, click, I am an early bird.
Mm-hmm.
And then immediately showing the examiner a video of how you got there. Press play. I've always been an early riser. Snapshot, then video.
Snapshot, then video. That is the perfect analogy. And you can apply this to almost any part 1 topic. Let's look at work or study. The snapshot, I'm studying French. The video, I've been on this course for around 6 months now.
Yeah.
Or your living situation. Snapshot, I live in London. Video, I've been here for 3 years.
I was studying French.
Mm-hmm.
I've been on this course for around 6 months now. Why is this so impressive to an examiner? I mean, the building blocks seem pretty basic.
Because the present perfect tense is notoriously difficult for learners to use naturally in conversation. It is a bridge between the past and the present, and it often causes anxiety. By pairing it right next to a comfortable present simple sentence, you give yourself a running start. You hand the examiner the grammatical evidence they need on a silver platter. But I must warn you, there is a trap here.
Oh, what's the trap?
If you use these two tenses but you pronounce every single word perfectly clearly, you ruin the illusion. If you say, I am an early bird, I have always been an early riser, you sound like a robot again. You must use contractions.
Right. You have to squish the words together.
Yes, I've always been an early riser. I've been on this course. It is widely believed that mastering this simple to present perfect combination and delivering it smoothly with contractions is one of the absolute fastest ways to increase a speaking score.
Snapshot, then video with a contraction.
Got it.
So we've got fillers, we've got topic-specific collocations, we've got rich adjectives to modulate our feelings, and we've got time travel grammar.
Mm-hmm.
But how do we put it all together into a long answer? That brings us to pointer 5. Building complex structures by simply adding information.
This is where we alleviate a ton of anxiety. I find that when learners try to create a complex sentence, they think they need to plan out this massive, architecturally perfect grammatical blueprint in their head before they even open their mouth.
Right. I mean, I always assumed native speakers just have supercomputers in their brains, perfectly calculating all the clauses and conjunctions before speaking. Are you saying they're just making it up as they go?
That is exactly what I'm saying. Spoken English is fundamentally different from written English.
Mhm.
It is much less rigid.
Okay.
You can create a beautifully complex spoken sentence organically just by adding bits of extra information to the end of your thought.
Walk me through how that works.
Let's say the topic is what you do in your free time. You start with a very basic core idea. We'll stroll around.
Okay.
Then you just tack on a piece of info for half an hour or so.
Right.
Then you add a condition, or until he gets too tired. Then you add a final side comment. He is getting on a bit.
By the way, getting on a bit means getting old, right? Like talking about an older dog.
Yes, exactly. Now look at that whole sentence. We'll stroll around for half an hour or so, or until he gets too tired. He is getting on a bit. Notice how there wasn't heavy, complicated grammar linking all that together. It was just a thought, plus an addition, that naturally creates a complex spoken sentence.
It's just stacking blocks one after the other.
Exactly. Another fantastic way to do this is by dropping a relative clause right into the middle of a sentence, like a parenthetical thought.
Give me an example of that.
So, talking about your studies, the core sentence is, the teachers are really supportive.
Okay.
You just drop a little extra info into the middle. The teachers, even though they're pretty strict, are really supportive.
I can hear how that earns high marks. But I have to be honest, if I try that in an exam room when I'm already nervous, I'm going to mess it up.
Why do you say that?
If I speak too slowly, by the time I finish saying, even though they're pretty strict, I will have completely forgotten how I started the sentence. I'll just freeze.
And that happens all the time. But here's a brilliant safety net that native speakers use constantly.
Oh, thank goodness.
If you are speaking slowly and you feel like the sentence is falling apart and you've lost your place, you just reset the sentence by adding a pronoun at the end of the clause.
Wait, let me try this live. Let's say I'm talking about the examiners. The examiners at the test center, even though they look really intimidating, okay, I'm lost. I forgot how to finish it. Drop the safety net. How do I save it?
Just say the word they and finish the thought.
They are actually quite nice.
Yes. The
Wait.
examiners at the test center, even though they look really intimidating, they are actually quite nice.
Oh my goodness. That feels like cheating. Does the examiner care that I just repeated the subject?
Not at all. Grammatically, in writing, repeating the subject with a pronoun might be a bit redundant, but in spoken English, it is perfectly natural.
Wow.
It breaks the written rules, but it saves your spoken fluency. It proves you can navigate a complex thought and recover gracefully.
The teachers, even though they're pretty strict, they are really supportive. That is such a pro tip. It totally takes the pressure off. If you start to lose your balance on the tightrope, you just put your foot down with a quick pronoun reset and keep walking.
It is entirely about maintaining flow and confidence. If you have that safety net, you will be much more willing to attempt those complex structures in the first place.
Well, we have covered some incredible ground today. We are at our conclusion, and as promised, I have a final bonus tip for everyone.
Ooh, the bonus tip.
If you want to instantly elevate an answer about your daily habits, I want you to completely banish the phrase I usually from your vocabulary for the test.
This is a phenomenal tip. I usually is probably the most overused phrase in IELTS Part 1 history.
It really is. Instead, swap it for I tend to or I typically.
Okay.
Just that one small vocabulary shift works absolute wonders for your tone. For example, instead of saying, whenever I get free time, I usually take my dog for a walk, upgrade it to whenever I get free time, I tend to take my dog for a walk. It just sounds so much more refined and native.
It certainly does. And refining these skills takes repetition. As Albert Einstein once famously noted, it's not that I'm so smart, it's just that I stay with problems longer.
Right.
Staying consistent with your daily English speaking practice is the true secret here. You can't just listen to this deep dive once and expect miracles. You have to put these drills into practice.
So true. We've given you the tools, the seasoning fillers, the chunked collocations, the exaggerated comparisons for flavor, the snapshot to video tense tricks, and the pronoun safety nets, but you have to open your mouth and actually use them.
And to that end, I want to leave our listeners with a final provocative thought to explore on their own this week. I call this unlocking the matrix of the English language.
Okay, the matrix. I'm listening.
The next time you watch an English movie or listen to an interview with a native speaker on the news, I want you to stop listening to the story. Pay close attention to the structure.
Well, that's interesting.
Can you catch the native speakers using these exact hedging fillers? Can you hear them shift from present simple to present perfect? Can you spot their exaggerated comparisons when they complain about something? Once you start actively listening for these specific patterns, You will hear them absolutely everywhere.
It's true. Once you see the code, you can't unsee it. All right, everyone. To lock in your commitment today, I want you to write, "I am consistent" in the comment box below. We want to see who's actually putting in the work.
Yes, definitely do that.
Also, please write your feedback and let us know which kind of topic you want for our next deep dive.
We truly love hearing from you, and your feedback helps us tailor these sessions to exactly what you need to succeed.
If you enjoyed this deep dive, there are many more deep dives on my channel. Go check them out. Focus on language learning, speaking, and listening. Focus on B2 level English learning. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Remember that extreme hook at the beginning, the two students walking into the exam room.
Right, the one getting the average score and the one sounding native.
Exactly. Now you know exactly how to be the one who walks out sounding like an absolute natural. Keep practicing, keep adding that seasoning, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.